Let's go. What's up, guys? Let's start off with the fundamentals for this week. This week has been fire. Um, and we're gonna tackle this each pair, but we've had a lot of news right off the bat from obviously earlier on. We've had the CAD news. Then we came on to GBP. Same day we've had USD. We've also had some movement around Euro, which I wanted to place a trade, but we'll see how I went about doing that. And then Thursday, and then today as well, Friday. So I truly believe I think this was the most this would be the heaviest week when it comes to March, I think, for this month anyway. So because next week it kind of we do have some fundamentals, but it dies down a little bit with a lot of amber, whereas this week was a lot of reds. Um, and then I know Mike dropped a list of back tests that we're gonna go through. I don't think, yeah, I don't think mine overlaps with his, so that's great because then that's we basically have more options to look at. Let's go over the one that I was looking at, but took a reduced risk on this. Let's delete that. And then Thomas as well, bro. If you've got anything that you've looked at this week that's not on my list, maybe just drop it and then we can cover that as well. Yeah. Okay, cool. I'm not gonna go too much of a higher time frame, but we can definitely see this is a bearish market here. I don't know what these are. Let me just go ahead and delete them. Yeah, there's no two ways about this, right? We can definitely see this is a bearish market on the higher time frame. Um, okay, cool, awesome. Yeah, so we can see this is a higher time frame. On the sorry, this is bearish on the higher time frame. When we come on sort of like an intraday for me, still not. We can see this is holding some structure right now, and then we can see there was a redistribution. There was also another redistribution. So for me, this is my higher time frame here. Let me actually just easier. So this is my higher time frame right after when we went and we made this break. Cool. There, and we know this to be our distro. We know this is our redistro. Okay. And this for me is what's holding my intraday. And then when we look at this within this leg, we've got this redistro position here. That's this here is holding my lower time frame. There's where the manipulation happened. Right, this was holding our lower time frame. So we can definitely see we're bearish times 3. So any sales will be pro trend, any buys would be counter trend. And then when we look at this, so the whole reason why it got me into our for me to throw a risk at this was when we look at the retracement coming in, we got a bullish move, and then we've got this. Now, I know this has tapped into no man's land because I can't really see anything in here. For me, I would say this is that SC. We can see them trying to add some more orders in here to obviously go, and this is the break. So for me, this would be the SC, and really here there's nothing that I would really look at. And then obviously we've traded through that. So now when we look at this, we've got this that was maintaining the order flow, and then this week, or I'm not really sure when, I think it was this week, we went ahead and we've traded below it. So what do we have? We've got 3 structure bearish, and we've now got a bearish order flow as well, which is what allowed me to throw some sort of risk in here, or that's what at least I was looking at. Now, when I look at, obviously I know this is the whole leg that went ahead and that caused this. So this is what's maintaining it. And then this was that slingshot of the order flow that caused the break. Let me just, there you go. So we actually do break it, right? So yeah, so this is that. Now when we do come down into like a intraday time frame now, we can see we can see the sellers working in. So we can see the distro, they come down. This hasn't, as I said, hasn't really caused anything. And then we can see them come in here again, mitigate that, distribute again, and then make a new low. And here we can clearly see this redistribution. We can see an attempt to accumulate, and then there's the shakeout, right? The shakeout comes and taps into here, which is what's holding this micro leg. And then off we go to make a new low here, a micro booth, and then off we go to make a booth here. Now inside this leg, let's look at where we are. Now at this point of interest, I've been looking at that ever since it created that point of interest. But I was just on the sideline watching this, and I'll tell you exactly the candle. I think I've got it here. So yeah, hold on. But what I'm doing now. So I saw this. um, this is okay. I'm not sure why it's not showing me here. Okay, but anyways, this is Frankfurt Open. Okay, and this is New York. This is London. Sorry. So this is Frankfurt Open. So we can see we've got the liquidity sweep, Asian high, and then we've got Asian low liquidity sweep here as well. So I actually had an alert here, and then as soon as we made this, I was hoping for price to come back up into here, because as I said, let me just see if I can pull it up. On my journal, I've had where's Euro USD? Just pulling it up. Hold on, I can also just do that here. Give me a sec. There's Euro USD, right? No, when was this? When was this? This was 2nd of March. Oh, I need to go way back. Oh, there you go. Okay. The 2nd of March, we've had this distribution, right? And then I think, yeah, as soon as we made this low here, because this was that UTAD, I was trying to get into an entry here off that 18 and that 31 minute. So let's look at that. So we've got the 18, and there you go, pretty clean. And then we had the 31. So one of these two, any sort of pullback into that, I really wanted to get it obviously to go down, because as I said, let's look at where we were trading. We were trading pro trend times 3 and inside this point of interest here. You could have looked at it in all sorts of ways. You could have done a Fibonacci retracement from here to here to look at the whole point of interest, and then there's your 80%. Or on top of that, what I also like to do is I also like to look at this retracement, and there's the 80%. But if it lines up with my 88.8, then that's one I'm also taking. But we've just missed that one. Either way, here's where your technicals are saying for you to enter. And then there you go, you've got a distribution in there. So that's what I was looking at off that 31 and that 18. But as you can see, we've missed it. Let's go down. We've missed it because after the break, price doesn't come up and gives you some sort of entry. And I guess this, you know what we could do, because just today, Mike and the guys, they were looking at a sell stop. of this. So if I do that, and then the sell stop would obviously be here to the 50, 7.5, and then this to here 7 pips. So in total you've got 14 pips risk. And then that I guess would activate your sell stop. And then you would have a sell limit at that 50 there that would cover all the way up to, oh yeah, I guess you could even bring that to an 80, to that 80 there, and then have another sell limit at the 80, but I personally wouldn't have done that. Realizing there's not much different that I was watching. I didn't work an entry in the stop entries, or definitely something to that. Yeah. So I didn't, obviously this, we weren't talking about this previously, and I'm not really a fan of sell stops as well. But let's see. I mean, it could be a game changer, just like how buy limits and sell limits has been for me. But let's just say to go and make that new low. I mean, there you go. There's your 23 to 1, bro. There's your 23 to 1. But when you have that integration, but when you have the mitigation of higher time frame schematics, you won't get the mitigation. Yeah, I guess, yeah. With this, you could, I guess, easily something could come up and then go down. Whereas I guess, yeah, you're right on the higher time frame. But on the higher time frame, then you would have higher time frame. They just feel their loss, or doesn't, yeah. And then, but I guess with the higher time frame or anything above like a 30 minutes schematics, your stop loss would also be higher as well, right? So yeah, just gotta bear that in mind. I mean, and I'm talking about even if you're offsetting it, your stop loss would still be higher than a 10 pips or something like that, especially with a sell stop. So definitely one to play about with. But anyways, this is definitely one to backtest really, because price never did come back and it just went maybe. Um, press the wrong button. Okay, cool. So right now we know that is what was holding our leg. I did have an alert. I did have an alert here. As you can see, look, it says set low risk limit of that and then look for distribution. But price just comes right into it. And this is what I was looking at, right? So if I do this whole thing again, so if I was to do from that low to look at the retracement, and then if I was to do the whole point of interest from that low to that, this is where we were trading, I believe Tuesday. A bit higher, a bit earlier in the week for me, but this was something I wanted to get into prior to the ECB and prior to the news that was coming up, especially when we was looking at this chef news on Thursday. So that was my game plan coming into this, because like what you said as well, Thomas, they're in. They don't wanna, because obviously what I'm looking at is sell, and we know sells, they just fall off. There's no this, like, there's no, like, with the buys, they would buy, then they'll slow down a bit, then they'll go up. But with sells, we've known it to just go boom. So that's what basically I wanted to do. I just wanted to work myself into some sort of position, and then as soon as we get a break, reduce risk or break even, and then just watch the rest of the week play off. Because I'm not really a fundamental trader. I don't really like to enter during fundamentals. So if I can work something into it before and then let the news ride with the news, then that's something that I guess I could profit from. But the one that I was looking at, right, was this. So it had the same thing. It had, we got a 1, 2, 3, and then there's the fourth drive up in here. We did get a break, right? And then, but I wanted this break in terms of the Asian liquidity was taken. So I got that. And when price came up, it didn't come far enough for me. Okay. I had all my alerts, and then I was watching 1, 2, 3. I was watching this, and we did get a break, but price never came back up. So now for me, I'm still looking at this as the whole thing. And eventually when price did come up, when price did come up here, I quite like this. So I threw it off this. I threw it off that, and then it was in here. So if I could go, it was in here. So when we came up into that 50, that's when my alert went off to say look for a distribution. We've had this, and essentially when we got this reaction, I went ahead and I think I got myself into some sort of entry in here. And then I had my stop loss there, and I had another stop loss here. Because I threw an entry here, and then I had a limit here, sell limit here with a stop loss here with this one here. As you can see, this came up and then activated me. But then once that activated, this here I want to reduce risk on that one, so I actually reduced my risk to here when this happened, and then I reduced my risk to here definitely because we was coming up to that news time. That's when I went ahead and I went to reduce risk, and then I think we can see after that, boom. So that was the news that came out, I believe. And then up we went. It actually made a bullish move where it kind of distributed a little bit, but obviously this was way too late for me to do anything. Um, and that's it. And then the next morning, so this is Thursday, my grey box is Thursday. We did actually get this. And again, I'm not sure why it's not showing me. Does it not work on should work on replays, right? I don't know, I need to look into that. But we got this, and I actually was looking at this, but I did not like anything like that. This for me was nothing. Yeah, we got a booth. Yeah, we got some sort of volume, some sort of reaction, and then this actually came into 50% of this. But I was just like, no, there's no way, because at that time, and what I was thinking was maybe we could come into this, because for me this is still what's holding it, right? Like we could see the bullish momentum coming in, the bullish order flow was to say, we can do that and then distribute from here to go down. So that is what I was waiting on. But lo and behold, as I said, we never got it. We've got a booth and then another booth here. This was, I guess, one of them where the currency pair was slippery, but the bias was correct in terms of what you wanted to do with your weekly game plan. So this was it here. I'm not really upset about this entry. For me, it was valid in terms of I waited for price to come into a premium. I did have a distribution that I wanted to wait for. It just didn't come back deep enough. And then my trade management here was good in terms of the reduced risk on both of the entries. So I'm not too happy, but also not too sad with this. So I guess now it's the same thing, rinse and repeat, because if I can get price to come here, create a new redistribution, we can catch that to go down. Okay. So that was UCHF. I'm sorry, EURCHF. Let me know if there's any questions on that. Maybe you would see it differently or something like that, bro. Nope. Okay, cool. Awesome. And then I guess let's go one that we both know. DAX. Cool, cool. So DAX was actually quite interesting. This was a hedge play for me. But I guess it would have been a hedge play for me if it wasn't acting up as well. So essentially we know we've got a distribution in here. Let's do this, right? So let's go this whole thing. So look at this. We got a break, a bullish structure break. This is our leg. This is that slingshot that causes the break. This is our intraday, and this is our higher time frame. And then if we look at this is our slingshot. Price comes right into it in a form of distribution and accumulation. So it was no brainer for me that when price came up into here, I would look for a hedge sell, because we know we've had some sellers in here that still got some open position. They would come back up here and take some profit taking. That could lead to some price falling off. So I wanted to get myself into a hedge, and then it just became more apparent when they went and they printed this. It was super clean. So there's a distro on the 3 hour, even on a high time frame, there's the 8 hour there. And then it was when we went, we not only got this break, but we've traded outside of that trading range. We've come into here, tried to accumulate a little bit, and then we've come back up into this slingshot here that causes the break. Okay. And then that's when we can really work down. When we work down, we see this sucker again. Okay. We can see the London Open. We can see the New York. And we can see the last push. This was actually the news. I think this was the FOMC news, yeah. So this was the FOMC candle that really just took out all of these sellers here as early sellers, and then this was the UTAD, right? And then we get a break. So you could do a couple of things. You could have done that to that, and then there's your 50. That would have activated if you offset it. So if you've done this to your 80 and then your 80 to that, if you wanted to get some more confluence, I guess you could have lined up the whole thing, see if it lines up anywhere. That 80 lines up fairly slightly with that 50, although if you had it off that 80, it wouldn't have activated. Yeah, it wouldn't have activated. So there's the 50 there. Now for me, what I was looking at was this. So I didn't have anything in there. I had something up in here and we never got it. So let me delete this. Let me delete this. So essentially, when price was trading into here, now I didn't really like how price obviously kind of came back into here, because it makes you, well, it made me wonder anyway as to whether price wanted to come into here and distribute, or here and distribute, or even here and distribute. But essentially, when I saw this price coming into here, at least about 50, I think it was about 50%. We got this type 1. We got 1, 2, 3, 4 drive here, and then we get the break. We don't take out this break, which I was not really happy with, because if we did, then this whole thing just turns into a redistribution, and now I would have set a limit. But because we only just took out this Asian low, we never took this out. I had to wait for a distribution. So when I waited for that distribution, we can see nothing happening here during New York. Didn't give us anything, and then it just went up and then distributed from here, I guess. So I was just watching this, nothing I could have done. And then I guess the entry came from here though, because when we look at, so this was the previous low. When we look at this continuation, we get something like this. So that wouldn't have happened, and it would have only worked if you done your 50 to your 80, which to me that seems a bit from there to your 80 here. And your 10 to 1 would be, well, you don't really have a 10 to 1 on here, so I'm not even going to count that. No. And then this one, I guess, is something that we could look at maybe next week or something. But at that point, I would expect all of this to go anyway, if we do come back up to something like that. But anyways, that was that entry. I think this one was the cleanest. It had the We had the session timing, so we had New York and London crossover. We had mitigation, so we had firstly the manipulation of news candle. We had the break, we had the mitigation, and then off we went. But yeah, so that was that one, and then let me do this. USHF is another beast. We'll do that one, and let me go over this one. I guess this one is very similar. I dropped this one here yesterday on the team talk, on the team training, but it was the same thing. We had a distribution, we had an attempt to accumulate, and then price coming up into here. Um, we wanted to see some sort of some signs of sellers coming in, some signs of weakness where they would do some profit taking, and then we saw that. So wanted to see if we could get into something to go down, and then price did give that. So I'm not gonna go too much into it. It's similar to DAX as well. Similar price action to DAX, where we saw that distribution on the higher time frame, and then we come down. We got a manipulation here, and then Thursday we come into it. So yeah, there you go. Okay, that's we done. Okay, CADCHF before we go into thing. I've actually realized I do a lot of chef pairs recently. A lot of chef pairs. CADCHF is so annoying. We was actually looking for a sell up in here. My alert is still down there. I need to delete that. But now we've got this happening here. So this was a accumulation, distribution, and there's the break. So this whole thing turns into a redistribution. We've waited forever for price to come to try to work its way back in there. It's been in the range for I want to say maybe about a month and a half. I was watching them too, but I started to get lost. We'll go back to focusing on share. Okay, cool. Um, I watch them because they're so good in especially in the mornings. Like I've realized, a chef, you get that Asian session, when you have that last bit of volume inside AUD, and then chef comes in the Frankfurt London session. So like those kind of plays, and especially if you can work yourself into a less than 10 pips to something, and then you leave a runner, and then they just go, bro. So yeah, JPYs as well. Yeah, they're good, especially for the morning run. JPYs are good actually in quite. You get the morning runs. Then when equities open, you get some sort of volatility, some sort of movement within them as well, and then obviously not to mention during the Asian as well. So JPYs are quite good. Okay, let's have a look at that over here. Maybe we do have this attempt to distribute. Could be come down here and then go. Yeah. Okay, cool. Let's go back to CADCHF. So the play I saw on CADCHF was actually quite simple. It was again earlier on in a week. We've had this. So the main thing I guess for me was this break here. This was a major break. Um, this is what was maintaining the lowest form of order flow that started the retracement, right? So if we never broke, I wouldn't even be looking for sales. It was only because we broke, because I was happy for prices just make its way back up into here so I could sell it from higher prices. But the fact that we broke and then we was bearish, we're bearish times three actually on CADCHF, because this here, there you go, yeah. So this we broke the intraday, and this is my backtest, so I haven't updated it yet. Um, so yeah, so we made that break. When we made that break, that's when I started to obviously pay attention to it. And then we come down into here. So after that break, I was trying to look for, for price to either come up. I think you could see here. So I had my alert that says look for sales. and then to get a booth. But this alert did actually go off, which is why I was looking at it. Let me just remove that. And then we've actually got, we've tried to distribute here, and then we've got this break here, as well as taking this Asian liquidity high. Then we break, and then this is what happened in here. So again, this was a miss. This was a miss opportunity simply because we never got the retracement. So I knew I wanted to trade inside here, inside this open, and we did come back. Right, there's the 80%. But what we never got was the break. Oh, sorry, was the retracement, because this was the break, and then we can see, there you go. So another thing, I guess, for us, Thomas, might have been that sell stop. So if I split that, no, I don't even want to know now, to that 50. And there's another 6 pips with spreads as well. You're looking at this, I guess you could go ahead, pay yourself the risk, pay yourself, or go to break even at 3.621. Your 10 to 1 would be here. So Friday this morning, and then price gave us a total of 12.5 to 1 so far, and that was off the sell stop. Yeah, you could have had a better RNR in terms of your 10 to 1 would be here if you waited for the retracement, but the retracement never happened, never came. Yeah, you can see it just came into that open. And I guess some people would have tried to look for this as a redistribution, but for me, if I'm not in from this, I'm not going to try to reduce to get into this, because I would need my reduced risk to throw something in here. So because we could easily take this and then come up higher, you know. So yeah, so that was that. That seemed to be, I think, the only entry I saw on CADCHF, because we did have this one which was fairly cleaner. Attempt to accumulate, off we go, and then we break, but then this again doesn't come up deep enough and just goes down. This is something, but and then we do get the comeback, but this is what, like a 3 to 1, I think, if that. And then also, don't forget, this is a Friday, so there's no opportunity to hold it like this. But yeah, but that was CADCHF. Anything on that, let me know. Oh yeah, 100%. 100%. Okay, now let's go to the one that actually did piss me off. Okay, so we had okay, so right. Let me actually do this on this so I can explain it, and I'll go back over as to why I was looking at my point of interest. Okay, so here we're bearish times 2. We're bearish higher time frame and we're bearish lower time frame. But where we are at is we are inside this accumulation. We're inside this accumulation. This is something that needed to be come back and tested on. Throwing the Fibonacci, we get a 50, we get an 80, and there's our 50, there's our 80. Price has come in between that, and you can see I was looking for a hedge opportunity. So essentially, what we could do is we could just move that up to here, or we could move this to that. Okay, so this whole area, if we could get some sort of intraday accumulation, that would be a good area to get a hedge into. And lo and behold, what do we get? We actually do get some sort of intraday accumulation, right? That for me is 1 drive, 2 drive, 3 drive, 4 drive. That's my change of character. That's my trading range. You can see they come back into 50%, come back into 50%, and then off it goes. And then the most important thing is, not only do I have a micro booth here, we've also come outside of that trading range. When we come back outside of that trading range, so first of all, I was looking at this entry here after that booth to kind of come into the test. We never got that. I then had to wait for that booth on the coming outside of that trading range, and then obviously we get that. That's when this limit got activated, because now this accumulation actually has got an effect. The effect is it broke this high. So this comes in. This comes in right in here, and then I believe I had something like 10 pips into it. Hold on, I'll show you. So there was a candle up in here that that was unmitigated, and you can go and backtest this, but we've done this. I think I had this in my 2 weeks before. But anyways, when price comes into here, right, you could see something. I think it was the 45 minutes. For me, I saw this as a type 4. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, you got 4 drive, but it's coming in as a descending wedge, and then there's that break that we needed. So from that break, we got the break, and then I did obviously want price to come back deep enough. It never came back. So what do we have as our point of interest? We have got this MC, and then we have got this slingshot. Okay, because this is the attempt to distribute, accumulate, and we can see there's the news to go and make this booth. So now this limit would come back on once this happened. So you can see, look, it says bullish booth, set limit back on. And then look, we never get that. That sucker we never get. So that's something that I was waiting on. But what do we have instead is we get this. So price comes back into this slingshot area here, and then we accumulate once again. Okay. But not only that, we've actually get divergence, clean divergence. So we can see here price is coming down, and then here the divergence has changed. So we get that, and that's when I went, and I think I'll pull it up. Let me see if I got it. EURCHF. Yeah, so I was watching. Yeah, so there's that. And there's this. So there's the divergence that I saw. Okay, and then I really wanted, obviously we got this break. This was the micro break inside, because when we got this, I thought, okay, cool. I could play this as what's it called, as London liquidity swap, because we had the Asian liquidity here and here. We've had London open, and then this was, I guess this was the chef news that happened, and then boom, off we go. So we get a break. So I wanted price to come back up into here. I had the 80 and that 50, and because we never made the booth in the first place, everything was off in accumulation. So because we never made this booth here, everything is off an accumulation, right? Because we could easily have, I guess, we could have different things. This, number one, this attempt to distribute could fail and turn into a redistribution, because as I said, we are bearish times 2. This could just be order flow. Oh, sorry, this could just be order flow in here for them to go and make a new high. We could have this coming up and then come all the way back up, because this is now what's holding that order flow, to then come back, mitigate, and then off it goes. We've seen EURCHF, we've seen USDCHF do that many times anyway. So there was a couple of things that just wasn't lining up. So I needed to get either that break for me to place limits, or everything else off schematics. So 2 things I didn't quite like when price did come up into this. Actually, I could just do it on that. Not that it came into the 80, but the fact that the fact that it came into it and it didn't accumulate, number one, and number two, it came in very late for me. So it came in at the end of New York. There was nothing I could do, but if throwing a limit for anybody, I guess who did look at it, is this was a nine pips. There is where you'd go to reduce risk of that booth here. There's where you go and take some partials at 5-1. And so reduce risk here, break even here, pay risk, take partials, whatever up in here. And then the next stop, so here, you could then take some more partials or whatnot, or wait for your 10-1, which didn't quite happen, but I guess it would be close to that. So that's how I was personally looking at this. I wasn't also pleased with this schematic, how price came in, because if this was my trading range, then I would have needed one drive, two drive. I wanted price to come and give me one more drive, and I think that's what my alert would say anyway. Okay, it said we look for an accumulation, because what I was waiting for is that 80% of that 45-minute. We get this as the schematic. We get 1, 2, get that third drive, then maybe one more, and that is what's gonna come into this to then look for a booth and then play that. That's something I wanted to work with. Could it still happen? Maybe. But now I guess my next thing is, once this booth gets taken, then I could throw something into this, because now, as I said, the order flow is this to that to this to that. So that's something that we could throw something in, but we could see them, like we could see they're coming in, right? We saw them coming in here, we saw them coming in here, and then we saw them coming in here. So we'll see. I'm being very patient with it in terms of it needs to do something before we can actually place something. I think that brings me to an end in terms of my back testing though. So let me know if you had anything. That's all of the pairs that I wanted to go over. Let me know if you had something that I haven't gone over yet, bro. Maybe you saw something. I do also have something for you. Let me see if I can show it. Thinking of it. Okay, cool. Let me show. Where's it gone? There you go. There's your baby. Very similar to yeah. No, there's your baby, bro. I don't know if you saw this, but obviously we once when price was in here. Sorry, when price was making this, we was obviously trying to watch it. Then I haven't watched it for a while because he was just making nonsense over here, right? But this sucker has come right into the intraday, 50% of the intraday, and I believe we get some sort of divergence at the bottom as well. I want to say, yeah, so we do, right? So you can see there's the divergence in here, something like that. And then I think I would have entertained this if it went and made that high, but because we never did that, and then we've come right into the distro that's maintaining this leg, and then look what we've got. Yeah, we've got a type 1 in there that's looking pretty sweet. And then this week we had the break. So a couple of things we could look at. We could look at a continuation play. Okay, or we could look at price coming into this for a hedge to try come down here, where I could take some volume off, at least 75%, and then leave the 25%, and then look for a buy to see if price does want to go up from that intraday level. If not, maybe go bearish on the intraday as well. So, because at the moment we're still bullish higher time frames and we're still bullish lower time frame. I guess we was talking about this before, right? Like, it does have some of the cleanest price action, some of the cleanest schematics, but it's just how much it pays. I think the other day, I think it pays something like 0.05, man, on IC markets. IC markets. Yeah, because when you look at this, Not surprised. Where's the? Oh, here. Trading. Where's it going? Where? Can't find it now. Surely it's like that. Yeah, it's not. It's not. It's not. I don't. Yeah, it's not. A lot of things are not actually on that. Oh look, it should be on here. Mm, no, can't. Anyways, I'm not gonna spend too much on that. Okay, you said that in. But yeah, but this I guess this would be clean. So the end the JPYs. One of the key things has happened. My lower time frame here broke. I'm not sure if you've had the same lower time frame, but it finally broke after such a long time. We've been playing with this, okay, but this is just making more sense. We've got this as the distribution now, and then look, we've got this as the redistribution. This is my SC, this is my MC. I'm actually going to work into this next week and then see if I can place a limit. And then I think we was talking about this way before, right, bro? Where we've got 1, 2, and then we've got this third drive now. Actually, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 drives. Because this does come into 50%. And then this is just a high time frame distribution. It's a shame that so it's a shame that it never came deep inside here. Okay, because this same thing. So this was the start of the movement. Okay, and then now we're just coming up. So we'll see. So if price, I guess price comes up into here, I would sell. Price comes down into here, I'll look for a buy opportunity, but with low risk because that's now a hedge. Okay, because yeah. AJ, let me just do this. Couple of things. EJ, my alert went off, but I'm thinking this is gonna do the same thing anyway. Are you still holding that sell up in here? This was a clean one. Oh, you didn't catch that? It was just a back test. Okay, cool. I feel your pain, bro. I feel your pain. Because the other one, I don't know. Oh, I did have it. I just forgot to go over it. I missed most of them. I can imagine. This one, man, I could have killed. I could have killed myself. So I don't need to go over this because we actually went through this together as a team. But I was watching this, right, mate. If I Let me pull up my thinking process. I mean, I'm not beating myself up too much about it because I deleted it. I deleted it of a valid reason, which was news. But just look at this. Look at this, and then look at this. So this was before. When was this? I doesn't have the time. But yeah, but this is where I thought, you know what? I'll just throw $20 at this. Because the other, so I was willing to throw $50 at this. $20 of risk, and then off because then I was kind of liking how price was raging itself. So hold on, give me a second. Uh, um, yeah, so I was kind of liking this, and I thought, you know what? Once I get reduced risk in here, I'll throw it with the rest of the $30 into here to see if we could go down. So I had a couple of profit levels, and then I just left 2 of my runners there. Because obviously this is pro trend, right? This has come into a good point of interest, extreme order flow one, that is. So I thought I'll throw 20 bucks at this, and then look, I deleted it off the news right into here. I think at that time spreads weren't even that crazy anyway. It comes right into it, 360, and then off it goes. I had enough time to obviously go reduce risk on this, take some partials, whatever, and this is where we this is where we obviously are. So yeah, so that one, it was not a brainer at all, man. No brainer. There was also this 33-minute, which I was telling Mike on the call, this 30-minute that came back, but it never gave me that break, man. The break, I had an alert here. If this gave me that break, as you can see, like it came into the 50, came into the 80. Sorry, it came into the 50 here and came into the 80. So no brainer. I would have threw the risk in there to go down. But it never gave us the break, because at that time I was also thinking a couple of things, because we did have some ways. Okay, so there's the 80, there's another distro in there that mitigates that. And then when we come into here, obviously with that kind of bullishness yesterday, I thought maybe we could just clap all of this and then come into here and then distribute, but we never got that. So I needed that break, and now I guess next week I would wait for this. Once we get that, then just play the retrace, the re-entry on it. So yeah, GJ, I put GJ on the side because GJ actually NJ, where's GJ? Oh, Chef JPY, I'm actually gonna get your opinion on this, but this is what I was thinking. But yeah, NJ, I kind of left that. I was a bit bummed about this because it did come into my hedge opportunity, but it never gave us anything. They just came into it. It looks like they just pretty much took profit and then added some more, and then there's what we got. I wasn't willing to catch anything like this here. Yeah, I wasn't willing to catch anything here because of obviously what was happening with the GBP, and then I think this week Monday there was Japanese bank holiday, so there wasn't anything I could play. Now actually we got this. I'm gonna see if we can work into something here next week or so. Yeah, but lower time frame is still being maintained by this though. So we'll say DJ is bullish. This is just a break. This was the cause of the break. So yeah, and then we've come in. So once we come here, I could look for something, or once we get that, then we can look for the whole thing. Come into here to go down, or buy and then come up into here. Yeah, and then Chef J. I was actually looking for Chef J. I'm actually waiting on a buy. I'm not sure how you're seeing it, but I'm looking for a buy and sell hedges, because when we look at this, mate, it's just bullish. This is what's maintaining the whole leg. This is our intraday, because we've had ever since that break, we've had no pullbacks. We could be getting a pullback now, but we need a lower time frame to break first. And lower time frame for me is being maintained by this at the moment, this leg. And then the rest inside it are just sells, hedges, and then just order flows. But this actually came in quite nicely, man. It came into that 50% of this accumulation that was in here. There was a clean accumulation in here. Came right into that 50%. But so before I can actually place a limit, which is what I need, yes, we've got a booth, but this doesn't do anything, because this accumulation, all it does is escort price back into supply. So we could easily come into here, either accumulate or just break, and then this whole thing turns into a redistribution. So I need to wait. Yeah, basically, so that's similar to EJ. Yeah. So next week, I got my alerts, wait for an accumulation in here, see if we can respect this level. If we do, perfect. And then if we do get into it, to get some sell hedges in here. If we don't, then wait for the break. this whole thing turns into a distribution. There's our attempt to accumulate. There's our distribution. This becomes our SC. This is our MC, and then off we go. So yeah. So we'll see. CADCHF, I know Mike already mentioned that, but I was actually looking for a buy prior to the sales. So the buy came off. Obviously, we've got this accumulation in here. Right, we've got a type 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. We get a break, and we come outside of that trading range. The other thing I also don't like was, look, we come right into 80% of this sucker here. So this accumulation, yes, is clean, but it doesn't have any effect to it because we never broke. We never took supply. All it did was help price to come into supply, and then look, it distributes. Yeah, that was the limit. What was the limit? Oh yeah, the 80. Yeah. This was, wasn't it? Yeah, bro. Yeah. This was the limit, man. This sucker right here. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. So this come in, and you would have tapped in fine. There's no spreads, commotions, nothing. In here. This was actually a London session, so you would be happy with that. But should have been set since the start. Right, I don't even know. Let's actually look how long. So ever since it made this new low, this would have taken you 40 days, so just under 2 months. Under 2 months, which is not bad actually. Yeah, so anyways, when we come into this, I was actually looking for an accumulation in here, this as a last resort, because this was the line in the sand, right? I don't think we get anything as clean. Nothing. I needed, when we look at this, I needed that to break, and we never got that either. So, and then I know at the same time this is what Mike was looking at for the sell, which I was also looking at the same time, because you can throw the Fibonacci, we come into that 80 and that 50, and there's the 80 there. But again, I couldn't find anything. I'm actually gonna backtest and see what Mike was trying to say. But from the looks of it, I don't know if anything does retrace back deep enough. So yeah, so we'll see. Cool. There were some other ones. Just from the medication he was making this one. Yeah, for sure, bro. You could see that. Let me show you oil as well, bro. So let's look at AJ then. I'm assuming you're talking about this week as well, right? So Monday. There's the break. Basically all the way down. Yeah. This would be something. I think this. I have a feeling this is what Mike was talking about. Because when we look at this was the cause of it, and then look, price does come back up into it, and then off we go. Yeah, this is Wednesday, so yeah, let me have a look at USDCHF. I think, yeah, USDCHF had also a very similar price action I was looking at, but this would have been it. So depending on if you do trade news or not, but this is something that was clean, right? But then if you don't, this was the break that you would have wanted, and there's that, and it comes right into 50, and off it goes. And it just does the same thing. So look, we come into it, London, break, there's your reduced risk opportunity, there's your re-entry opportunity. Fuck, let me actually look at that. Oh, right after 50, huh? Yeah. 6. Well, you want to go 6 pips with spreads, then cover that up. Another 4.5. I think this one would have given. Oh fuck! Look at that. Yeah, your 10-1 is here. Gave you 13-1. That was your 19-1, but you never activated. Yeah, there's where that was. Cool. All right. If you got time, bro, I can pause it and we can go over some of that EA stuff that we was talking about. If you've got time. Okay, cool. Yeah.
Oh, I not even knew that. Okay. Yeah.